Hey everyone, welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting and our weekly look back at the hot comics from 6 months ago. So yes, we're doing this live today because, as I warned you guys last week, I had a bunch of work stuff this week. I didn't get home till last night, and there was no way I was going to get recorded and edited and everything else, but I did get values, so I figured we'll just do it live. So we're going to do it live. I will apologize to the chat because I'm not going to spend very much time in the chat. I want to keep this as close to the normal time as I can. I'm sure it's going to be a little longer, but so yeah. So we will say a real quick hello to anyone who's here. Just because GTK is tailgating, appreciate it. Hey, what's going on from Germany? Ian, what is going on? Scott's Comics. Well, I will do my best. So I've been a little hectic this morning, so I'm running a little behind, pulling the jaw. I'm starting a little late, but and doing this live instead of recording it. But so yeah, we're doing the hot comics from October 9th, 2021, and I am recording this on April 9th, 2022. So as always, those dates are so you know when this is actually relevant. We are, of course, looking back at the CBSI Hot Top 10 and the Comic Tom Key Collector hottest trending comics of the week. So without further ado, let's see what's hot, what was hot back in October and what it has done since. There's Mojo is here. What is going on? And yeah, so we got Youngblood number 2. First appearance of Prophet. This hit the list because Jake Gyllenhaal was attached to supposedly we're going to get a Prophet type movie. So it cost raw copies to go $10 to $25. A 9.8 was hitting $300 to $400. My prediction back then was that it was indeed a. Yeah, we tried this with the live. That it was a trap, and it has indeed been a trap. Now raw copies are 5 to 15, which is not that crazy compared to 10 to 25, but 9.8 only cost you 100 to 150 compared to 3 to 400. That's marginally a dumpster fire on a 9.8. There's a billion of these out there. There's no surprise that this book back way up. The only surprise would have been if it hadn't. So next up, we got letter 44. This hit the list back then because it was optioned. This Charles Soule project was optioned. So of course, instantly everybody had to have it, $10 to $15. And this one is so interesting in that it's I predicted and I'll be back on this one. And it is sort of an I'll be back. It is, I put it as down and I'll be back. It's actually 5 to 20 now as opposed to 10, 15, which you're like, shouldn't that be steady? But there's only one $20 sale. Everything else is 10 or under. So that's why I still put it as a down and I'll be back. There was the one $20 sale, but not enough for me to really say that this has been steady. What is better, pink or blue? I'm blue, but yeah. So next we got like I said, I'm not gonna do a whole lot in the chat just because I want to keep this close to the similar time frame as the pre-recorded ones. Next is Brzrkr number 1. Kiana was talking about the fact that in addition to a movie, there was also an animated show writer attached. So had writers attached to both a movie and a show adaptation of this story. This comic was always just sort of to set up and sell the eventual movies and shows. Back then, raw copies were all the way up to $6. What? I even have my note was, is this hot? A 9.8 was all the way at $50, which is like grading fees and shipping fees and the book, maybe like $10. So I put it as worth it back then. Now raw copies are $4 to $5, basically cover price. 9.8 will cost you 40 to 70. Overall, I put this as steady. I put it as an I'll be back because it really, like, yeah, there was no reason to go after it. You could argue that I originally said that predicted worth it, but I think it's more of an I'll be back. I mean, there was just no reason to chase this book still. We'll see if they ever actually do anything with it, but yeah. Next, we got little cover love. Batman 89, number one. We got this is the first of several of our NYCC variants. So that was this week. This is the Warren Lau Catwoman variant. When this released, it was going for $75-$80 for the Virgin. There's also a trade dress. This is the Virgin variant of this. $75-$80 back then. I thought I'll be back on this one because it is some of his stuff is pretty popular. It does this nice kind of Michelle Pfeiffer homage. Batman 89. It's a pretty sexy cover. Thought it might do okay. And not really. $20 to $60 now. 9.8 only costs you. It costs you $90 to $130. So this one also sort of turned into a trap. I'd predicted I'll be back. This one turned into a trap. $30-$40 is where most of them are at, even though it's got a 20 to 60 range, which is about half of 75-80. So definitely a trap on that one as well. There is Unruly. What is going on? Still, you are correct. Gorgeous cover. Just hasn't really sustained. This particular NYCC variant has not sustained. Our next NYCC variant is a little Miles Morales love. This is not even the costume I don't know what with this look. But this is the Raphael Grassetti NYCC variant, limited to 1,000. Obviously, another Spidey number one, Homage. But this suit, woof. Back then, this raw copy was going for $80 coming out of NYCC. Now it's 25 to 50. 9.8 went for 190, but that's just one sale. So another NYCC variant that turned into wrong one that I predicted was an I'll be back, but turned into a trap. So I was not harsh enough on these NYCC variants this time. We got Super Russ, Unruly. Again, I'm going to limit interaction with the chat just to keep this close on time. Next, we got Nottingham, number one. The Francesco Archidiacone. I have no idea how to pronounce that last name, but another NYCC variant. This one was selling for 90 plus when it came out back then. I could only find one sale recently. I couldn't find but two listings in one sale. The listings were right around the same price as well. Went for 100. That one sale was for $100. So this is kind of steady worth it. I'd put this as an I'll be back. Maybe this, it was a little bit unsure how many of these were actually out there because supposedly they were also selling them on the Mad Cave website, but there's not very many listed. There's not many sales. Maybe this actually is pretty hard to get. Either way, it's been pretty steady over the 6 months and basically worth it. So next we got another NYCC variant. This is Department of Truth, number 13, the Jordan Haven NYCC variant. Obviously, album cover homage. I questioned back then, was this series really still hot? And this was going for $100, raw out the gate. Now it's an 80 to 120. 9.8 going for 200 to 250. This is another one that turned into pretty much worth it. So I predicted worth it on this one, and it had actually stayed right there. So this one I got right on the dot. So that's always good. But so pretty cool cover overall. Next, we got another cover. We're moving to our covers that were not NYCC. We still got 4 covers left. Deadpool, Black, White, and Blood, number 3. This Dan Sakai, 1 in 25, was going for 40 to 50 plus at release. What do I tell you? If it doesn't, which is not even 40 to 50 plus, is barely double ratio on the high end. Not even triple. That usually means it's going to end up, if it doesn't make it over double ratio consistently, it's going to end up probably below ratio. If it's between double and triple, it's going to be between ratio and double. And this is now a $5 to $20 book. This turned into an absolute trap. It followed the rules to the T on a 1 in 25. There's a reason I make those comments. They're fairly consistent, and that's exactly what happened here. It is. I still think it's kind of a cool Deadpool Stan Sakai cover, but yeah, did not hold up. And really is correct. Hello, Black Knight. So next we got Soul Plumber #1, the Riley Rossimo 1 in 25. So this is interesting. This was going for $35.40. Sorry, my note had me a little confused when I was trying to read what was going on with this book. This one was going for, that would have been one of those cut and come back edits on the pre-recorded. $35.40 back then. I thought this was a trap. I hadn't heard nothing about the series. This has actually not been a trap. It's interesting. It was consistently going for 50 to 80, although the most recent sale was only for 20. So, yeah, so that one sale would be like a trap on it, but every other sale that recently has been happening has been more in the 50 to 80 range, most of them being 50 to 60. So overall, this is up and worth it. I put worth it as opposed to straight cash because of that most recent sale, it's 20, and it makes you wonder, because there's not a ton of sales, if maybe the interest is starting to finally die, but that's a pretty big drop. So we'll see. For now, I would still put it as worth it, which is interesting, a bit of a surprise, because I've heard nobody talk about this series. So I'm curious if any of you have read it, know anything about it. Next, let's scroll over a little ways. We got a reminder, this was right around the time the Venom movie had been out, about a week or so. So this Amazing Spider-Man 346, this Eric Larson Venom cover was hitting the list. Raws were averaging $20. The 9.8 was going for $300. Of this early Venom cover. Now a raw copy will cost you $5 to $20. 9.8s are down to about $200. So I foolishly was like, yeah, it seemed like most of these Venom and stuff have just been creeping up anyway. But I was wrong. So I put this as like that it would continue to go up. This did not. This has absolutely turned into an I'll be back. Yeah, a little patience here. There are a ton of these early 90s comics. So yeah, even though early Venom and Venom tends to be money, in this case it was backing up. Definitely a great cover for sure. So next, we got a little Black Panther or Killmonger #1, the 1 in 10 movie photo variant. So yeah, so they did a photo variant for the comic series. Raw copies back there of this 1 in 10 were going for 50. And this was all amidst the rumors that he's going to return to the role in some way, shape, or form. It's kind of died down a little bit, but this book still goes for a pretty good value. Now it's a $25, $50 book. I predicted I'll be back on this one. That is exactly what it has been. Yeah, so still some interest. Still people who are convinced that we're going to see more of him. But it definitely, to this stage, has backed up a little bit for sure. Now, with that, we're going to move into some other stuff. A little bit of HBO Max speculation, and we got Secret Six #1, the first appearance of the team and of DC's Mockingbird character. So this DC villains team has been rumored as a potential follow-up. At the time, was being rumored as the potential follow-up to James Gunn's Peacemaker series that was coming. Really hasn't been. That rumor kind of hit the list, caused this book to jump way up. Raw copies of this 1968 book were going for, on average, 150, and 9.8 was 400. People were kind of jumping on this. Now, no recent high-grade slab sales, but a raw copy will cost you 15 to 60. Now, obviously, the 15 end is pretty low grade, but the 60 end was pretty high grade. Yeah, this wasn't just a trap. This was a dumpster fire. There's been no follow-up to make us believe this is actually where that's going. James Gunn is supposed to do some more stuff for them, but this is not necessarily where it appears to be going. And yeah, so this has turned into a big old dumpster fire if you chase this during those rumors. So yes, that was a reports coming across that the Steelers quarterback was hit by a car. I don't know if he was in another car or what, but yeah, their young backup quarterback. So anyway, next we got a little Cable and Deadpool. Sorry, I didn't want to just get sidetracked on that, but yes, very very tragic. It's the book. Yeah, there's definitely. So it was the Dwayne Haskins was the quarterback, their backup. So anyway, sorry, I'm getting off track. I just want to. Next, Cable and Deadpool number 24. Supposedly the first meeting of Spider-Man and Deadpool, but it's from 2006. It still surprised me. This is the first time they met in the comics. There was a bunch of buzz about these first meeting stuff. People were going nuts. This thing was going raw sales up to $250 back then. Now raw sales are $25 to $80, which is still some interest. A 9.8 did go for $950, but it's one 9.8 sale. But yeah, $25 to $80 based on book that was going for $250 back then. This also was a big, massive dumpster fire. So yeah, 2 dumpster fires in a row. You guys remember I say there's always at least one. This week we had 2. Next, we got a little Venom Lethal Protector number 1. First Venom solo title. Obviously, I guess in the movie he said a line where he called himself the Lethal Protector or something like that, which caused a little buzz around this book. Raw copies were $25, which is not that big a bump. I think it was just a lot of sales. This felt like a bit of a stretch, Tom, and I'm putting this on the list. But a 9.8 jumped all the way up to $230. Now raw sales are $20 to $60. So at that range are a little more. 9.8 though has backed all the way up to $150. But not a lot of 9.8 sales in there. A ton of raw sales. So from the raw side, I call this steady and worth it because it has creeped up a little bit. But yeah, and this was not a huge surprise that this book did that. Everything Venom usually kind of continues to slowly progress, but speaking of something with 1 billion copies, this is definitely it. There you go. Lethal Speculator. Print run. Infinity. Yes, for sure on this. Give me. I'll take that book. There you go. Next, Young Avengers Presents number 3. This is kind of the retcon of Speed and Wiccan's origin. So this is where the whole thing came out that they were actually fragments of Mephisto, Soul, and stuff, and so that's where all that came from. That why people were specking so hard on Mephisto during WandaVision. Was this. I'm not sure why back in the fall this suddenly hit the list, other than the fact that we did get the announcement that made the next book hit the list, which was the Agatha Harkness show, House of Harkness, and they thought, oh, we might get more of them. Boring. Yeah. Going for a hopped up witches. So anyway, this one jumped up to a $30 raw book. 9.8 hit all of $80. This was on fire. Now it's a $10 to $25 book. 9.8 going for $60. Yeah. And I'll be back. Marginally a trap for sure on this one. Hey, Robert. What's going on? I don't think I ever actually said hello to VV. Hello, my friend. Next, the book that we were talking about, like I said, I'm going to crank through these pretty quick. Try to keep everything to my usual time frame. Fantastic Four number 94, which had spiked huge during WandaVision, had crashed huge. Oh, I have got to I clicked on the wrong slide. There it is. I clicked on the one past it. So you guys a preview of the next book. Fantastic Four 94, first appearance of Agatha Harkness. It had spiked huge during WandaVision. It had crashed hard in the 6 to 8 months after that, before the announcement came that we were getting a House of Harkness. And then it jumped back up, 9.2 for 1,400, a 9.4 for 2,000. Now a 9.4 will cost you 15, a 9.2 is back down to 1,000. Raw copies will cost you 50 to 300. So this has definitely turned into an I'll be back. Little patience on here would have definitely made it worth it. So I'll be back. I did not. I didn't actually put it on the list, or if I missed it, if it did. Yeah, they didn't put it on the list when they did that. So anyway, yeah, so we're doing this live because I didn't have time to do a pre-record of the look back. So I'll do the Cash or Trash next tomorrow. Maybe it's on the list then. So next, Fantastic Four. So this is all the Agatha Harkness stuff. All that news has died down. We're ways away from that series. Obviously, the book is backed up. Fantastic Four 358, which was on the list last week as well, which is people just specking on basically any scroll they can find for the Secret Invasion series. When we talked about it last week, it was at 10, and a 9.8 was at like 130. Now it was at the second week, it was at 15. 9.8 was at 325. Now the book is a $1 to $15 book, literally $1 to 15. 9.8 still costs you about $350. I'd put this down as a trap. I put it as an I'll be back and then a trap. It kind of was an I'll be back, and now from the prices from last week, and now it is definitely an I'll be back. Down a little bit on the raw side. We're talking 2 9.8 sales that are pushing that price up there. Not a ton of these are even slabbed. It is Unruly saying something bad about an FF book. Everyone write that down. Note it. I don't know that that's ever happened. So there you go. So 2 books to go. Secret Wars number 3. This is the first appearance of the second Titania, because she was rumored for the She-Hulk show. A lot of that, we still don't know when we're getting the She-Hulk show. Raw copies back then were going for $55. A 9.8 hit $250. Now it's a $5 to $30 book raw. 9.8 it's only backed up a little bit, $2 to $250. But vast majority of sales again are on the raw side, and that side has definitely been a trap. If you chased it back then, when they were people were confirming that Titania was one of the villains that'll show up in the show. All right, with that, we got 1 book left, and I'm only a few minutes over 20 minutes, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. We have Marvel Holiday Special number 1991. This is the origin of Santa Claus as an Omega level mutant in the Marvel Universe. And basically, this hit the list because James Gunn made a comment that the Guardians Holiday Special would introduce one of the greatest MCU characters of all time. So people were thinking, well, we'll get the Marvel version of Santa, and then he'll be a mutant or something. Secret War is the greatest toy advert ever. Yeah, so this jumped up to a $10 to $30 book. Now it's a $5 to $15 book. I put it as an I'll be back instead of a trap, which was my prediction was trap. It's probably still more of an I'll be back, but you could argue trap. But yeah, so we're still a year. Yeah, the holiday special isn't till, is it this, when? Yeah, I guess it's supposed to be this Christmas. We're supposed to get the holiday special. But anyway, yeah, we're 8-10 months from this. If that's where they're going, now would be, yeah, go find one for $5 and you could probably make money if he shows up in the thing. But so that was the look back this week. I didn't actually do the math. What did we get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14 of the 19 books went down. Wolf, that is bad. Including 2 dumpster fires, which were the Cable and Deadpool 24 and Secret 6 1. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 steady and worth it. So books that stayed pretty steady. 2 of them were NYCC covers, and or the other, and then Brzrkr, which wasn't really going for any value to begin with. It went from $6 to $5. Yeah, was another one of those. And then Lethal Protector was pretty steady. And then we had only 1 book go up this week, which was the Soul Plumber number 1. But its most recent sale has actually been back down. So we'll see. So that is this week's look back. I want to thank you guys for hanging out and watching. Whoop, would remove the wrong thing. Apologize for doing this live. I did not have time to pre-record, so thanks for hanging with me. We will be back tonight for the whatever report. We will be back tomorrow for Cash or Trash and D&D. I want to thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you next time. Maybe if I can find the right thing. There it is.